Hey guys, I got the reverse grip fall and stab tutorial suggested by Eric. So I've only been doing this cut since the beginning of the year, so it's been my last 3 sessions or last 2 videos. It's pretty tricky and uh, pretty complicated, so I'm going to try and break it down as best I can for you. Alright, so let's get started. First thing that's important is the stand. You want a stand that's high enough to keep the bottles in where you want them, in a good area, a good comfortable area. And being that you're going to end up in this kind of position, you don't want anything higher than waist level. So I try to make my stands just a little bit lower than waist height. Yeah, so bottles, when you make this cut, what's usually going to happen is this bottle is going to kick out and this bottle is going to hit and bounce to the right, usually. So be prepared for that. Ideally, you want it to cut and fall straight. And I'll get to the reason for that in a second. The stance I use is I like to get good and low and get, a good wide foundation. That way I got good balance and you can move a little bit faster and precise. So that's kind of important. When I do this, I line myself up directly with, if I do it straight on, directly with the bottle. The first cut, you're gonna, when you come out of this stance, you're gonna step in on a 45-degree angle, and this will do 2 things. The first thing it's going to do is, after you make the cut and you circle around, it's going to bring the sword right over the target area. Okay? So it's going to bring the sword right over the target area where it's comfortable, right where you need it. The second thing it does is, when you step off 45 and you do this, it's going to end your cut about here, which is what you want, because you want to keep the Kosaki as close to the target area as possible. And that'll come into transition. I'll get to that in a minute. But to come in, make this cut. Also, the hand. I keep my hand right here. So after I make contact with the bottle, and as I'm coming through, I'm catching the sword and bringing it around like such. So you're going to have this kind of a motion. Now we can get into transition. Now the transition, this is the trickiest part of the whole thing. Like I said, you want to keep the Kosaki as close to the target area as possible. So, in order to do that, you need to use your momentum and your step off for this to happen. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. Now, when you make the first cut, and you step off, and you're stepping out, you step out here. Your cut's going to end here, but you're still going to want to do your full swinging thing around. So, by keeping your weight on the back foot, it shortens up this cut. Now you got to bring it around and in. So, you keep your weight on the back foot until you make this cut. And as your momentum is bringing you forward as you're shifting your weight over onto this, that should happen right about here. And as you do this, okay, when you come in, cut, now I'm going to shift my weight. It keeps this, and I'm keeping my swing going all the way around, okay? So I'm going here, and it keeps the Kosaki closer. As opposed to if I just stand still here, you see how far I got to travel. So here, if I come in, see how much closer it keeps it. And I'm still getting my full swing. So, okay, as opposed to here. So you come in at the same time. So it's a really smooth, you got to think of it as one fluid movement, the whole thing, from start to finish. as soon as you move, it's just one solid movement. And it takes a little bit to get used to, especially the transition. The transition between here and here, that is the trickiest part and 90% of the reason I fail at this. But and probably the reason everybody else fails too. Because if you're not, I try to use the momentum with the sword and keep the tip close. Okay. And if you keep your weight back as you make this cut and you catch, and as you're catching the sword, shift your weight forward. It'll keep it closer. And hopefully that'll help you guys out. I'm going to try it here in a second. I got bigger bottles. Yeah. This is really rough. I designed it to be rough, but it's a little more technical than I thought it was. But after seeing what works and what doesn't, come to the conclusion that this is the best movement for it. It'll keep the Kosaki right there, and you still get a good swing out of it. Stepping off will end it closer. You're already way out here, and see how close it is already? And then you just circle it in. Just remember to practice shifting your weight and making it one fluid motion. So as soon as you move, don't stop. Unless, of course, you're going to hurt yourself. But hopefully you won't do that. So step, cut. Step and cut. Also, if you don't get close enough to the thing, because of the way this works with your elbow, you're only getting a little bit of your sword. So you got to get in pretty close to make sure you get all the way through the bottle. Because if you're back too far, you only slash through like half of it. But that's cool too. So it could be a slash and stab or a cut and stab. So let me see here. Go again. Go again. Yeah, not today.